So I don't know how useful this is going to be. I truly don't. But I recently had a video of mine start taking off. That was discussing some of Nintendo's kind of abusive patent practices, and one of their most recent patents that just seems completely insane that they even bother trying to apply for the patent because it's not something they created to begin with. And a lot of the comments were along the lines of, "Oh, this is BS. This is someone needs to do something about this. There needs to be a boycott. There needs to be legislation. There needs to be all these different things happening to stop this from happening." And I 100% agree, and realize that I don't have a huge community. I don't have a huge following, but at the very least, what I can try to do to maybe get some change going on is start a petition. So I started a change.org petition to stop the abusive misuse of patent law in video games. Effectively, and I recognize from the start, one, I'm probably going to name the title of this video something clickbaity like Nintendo must be stopped or something like that. But it goes far beyond Nintendo, because I saw a lot of those comments were also related to other companies that have filed other patents. And I knew about the WB and WB Gaming Studios patenting the Nemesis system, which is stupid. But when I started seeing all those comments, I started Googling a lot more stuff, because there were a few people that were like, well, what about this company and what about that company? They have these abusive patents and you're not talking about them. It's like, yeah, I didn't know about them. But just because another company is doing something bad doesn't mean that everyone else should just get away with it. And rather than be like, hey, this company's doing it, so everyone should be allowed to do it, I'm going to take the stance of this company's doing it, so no one should be doing it either. They should all be stopped. Because there are, I started Googling, I started looking into other patents, other companies that have stupid video game patents, and some of these patents are, one, the concept of patenting a video game mechanic is stupid, because you are patenting essentially a generalized idea. You are patenting a general idea of something that oftentimes exists in some real way in the world. So you are patenting a concept that if anyone wanted to make something that was about this thing, you can't do. One of the ridiculous ones I found, Sega had a patent for a danger zone that would cause pedestrians to not want to get hit by a car, to dive out of the way of a car while you were driving. They patented the idea of not wanting to get hit by a car. So if you didn't license the patent from them, you couldn't make a game where people wanted to not get hit by a car. And that's insane. That's an insane concept. It would be one thing if they said, this is the code that we use, this is the specific mechanism and code and script that we used to implement this danger field. That is unique to us, and they patented that. That would be one thing. I'd be all for that, because that is specific work product. That is something that they specifically made. But they patented the idea of not wanting to get hit by a car. Which one is it? Hold on, I have a list here of some stupid ones, and at some point in the near future, I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna just do a whole video on, to draw more attention to this. I'm gonna do a whole video on just some of these stupid video game mechanics that are being patented. Apex Legends, they have a patent for the ping system. They have a patent for nonverbal communication, and I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure ping systems that had specifics have existed long before Apex Legends came out, because, hold on, Apex Legends came out in 2019, and I'm fairly certain that StarCraft had a ping system. Now, StarCraft is an RTS system. I know Warcraft and StarCraft had a ping system, but I'm fairly certain that StarCraft and Warcraft had a ping system that allowed you to give specific interaction. I just got a subscriber while I'm doing this. That allowed you to give specific guidance to your teammates, like, hey, defend here, attack here. And StarCraft 2, at the very least, I believe, had it. And StarCraft 2 came out, hold on, in 2010, long before Apex Legends. One of the other ridiculous patents, Harmonix has a patent on the concept of simulating a rock band in a video game. So they patented the concept of a rock band in a video game. If anyone wanted to make a video game where they got to play as a rock band, where they simulated a rock band, Harmonix would have that patent on it. And I'm fairly certain that's also existed before, too, because there was a Flash game. There was a little Flash game on Newgrounds. I cannot remember what it was called. I think it was called, like, Garage Band or some crap like that, where you could simulate being in a rock band. Not in the same way like the games that, like, Rock Band and Guitar Hero did, but in a very, like, similar kind of concept of you were a rock band, and they patented the concept of being in a rock band. Sega had a patent for the floating direction arrow. So they had a patent for a direction arrow that was going to lead you in a way which is very similar to the concept of a compass or a heads-up display. A lot of things have had heads-up displays. One of the most recent ones I've already talked about from Nintendo is patenting the concept of a seamless air-to-land transition with a mount. They patented the concept of a Pegasus. So if anyone else wanted to make a game about Greek mythology where you could ride a Pegasus, because that is Greek mythology, they wouldn't be able to without Nintendo's permission. And what I'm getting at here is the things that they are patenting aren't unique things, aren't things that they created very specifically, and this is the code that we use to implement this. This is the engine that we use to implement this. This is how we made this happen. They're patenting ideas. They are trying to thought control you. They are patenting, they're saying only we can use this idea, this concept. No one else can come up with the concept independently, implement their own code to make it happen, and do this with some of the most basic systems. And some of these patents I can see, okay, getting away with it. Like Mass Effect and Dragon Age have the dialogue wheel that is patented and controlled by them. Okay, there are other ways to implement speech in a game without using a dialogue wheel. So maybe that one's okay. I still think it's stupid. I still don't think they should have the right to it, because I just started playing Oblivion Remastered again. I played Oblivion when it came out in 2006, and Oblivion, where they didn't have a specific dialogue wheel, they had something very, very similar to that in their disposition wheel. When you were talking to someone, you were using a wheel, and it had the same kind of thing. This is a joke, this is a coercion, this is blustering you, and this is whatever the other one is. I cannot remember right now. But all of those are types of speech, and while you didn't hear the speech on the other side, it was kind of a dialogue wheel. But all this is to get at is a lot of what these are patents not for specific verbiage, not for specific ideas, or not for specific script, but for an idea. And not for a specific implementation of the idea, but for an idea in general. An idea, oftentimes, that they did not originally create. The Nintendo one, they did not originally create it. You can argue that the dialogue wheel was not originally created by Mass Effect, because Mass Effect came out on... I don't care about the latest one. I care about the original one. The first Mass Effect came out in 2007. Oblivion came out in 2006. So you can argue that Mass Effect didn't create the concept of dialogue wheel. Either way, what they are going for and the general way in which they word these patents is targeting ideas. It's targeting thought, and it's targeting indie studios and small developers that cannot afford to fight them in court about it, that cannot afford to say, no, this patent is bullshit. And it's hurting studios. It's hurting the indie developers that now risk being sued if they want to use an idea that's similar. If they want to use a capture device, they might get sued. If they want to use a dialogue wheel, they're going to get sued. If they want to implement that, I mean, WB patented the Nemesis system. They patented the idea of someone that fucking hates your guts, which is wild because there's a lot of people that hate their guts for this. So they're not patenting something specific. They're not creating a specific design. It's not like they created a car with a brand new engine and they're patenting the way that that engine's laid out and the specific science that they're using to do it. They're patenting ideas. They're trying to control who is allowed to have an idea and display an idea in a video game. And that hurts everyone. They're trying to control who's allowed to have an idea, who's allowed to show that idea in a video game, and they're bullying small studios, and they're hurting the game industry. And I don't think that's fair. So the goal of this petition, the goal of this change.org petition, and I'll admit right now, I'm not a lawyer. I am not a game developer. I don't know the right specific verbiage and words to use in order to convey to lawmakers what exactly needs to be implemented. But I know the thought, I know the idea, and I would love to get indie developers involved, get some big names in the indie development space, like Pirate Software or any of these other small indie companies, Pocket Pair, any of these other indie companies that are developing games involved in this space, as well as lawyers that know the right verbiage to use, like patent lawyers, people that would know exactly what to tell lawmakers to implement to get this implemented. But I can start the ball rolling. I can start the ball rolling and hopefully get some of these people to work with me to create an exact document, an exact thing to send forward to lawmakers to have them sign to implement this. But what the goal is to stop this idea that a game studio can patent an idea. They can patent a game mechanic, which is effectively just an idea of how to interact with the world, to make it so that if they're going to patent a game mechanic, what they're patenting isn't the thought, isn't the idea, isn't the concept. What they're patenting is specific verbiage, is a specific code, specific script that implements this thing, a specific engine that implements this thing, and not just the thing. It would be this, because it's getting to the point, and one of the comments that I'm seeing, and it's becoming more and more realistic with the fact that like people are patenting a horse that can fly and a mount that can fly and walk. Is we're going to see it. Walking is going to be patented. Rolling is going to be patented. Jumping is going to be patented. The concept of shooting a weapon in space is going to be patented because they're getting allowed to be getting rid of more, get away with more and more stuff, and it's insane. And it's just something needs to be done about it. And the fact that Nintendo, and I'm sure some of these other companies too that own these patents, but Nintendo in specific with some of the patents that they are applying for, and in some cases getting, and in quite a few cases actually getting, are things that they didn't even create. They're things that someone else did first, but they were the first ones to apply for a patent for it, even if it happened years after the original instance of it was created, and now they're using it to target other game developers. So it's not even their own idea. It's not even their own idea, and they are trying to steal it from the hands of developers and from the players that would be playing those games that those developers have created. So, linked in the description, and I'm going to try to link it somewhere here on a card. I'm still trying to figure out how to do that stuff because I'm not a a good YouTuber in any way, is the change.org petition. So here it is. I'm going to end up updating it more and more and getting better verbiage and trying to be more eloquent with the way I'm saying it. I know this is a cheesy little thumbnail. I had to come up with something. So I stole part of one of my other thumbnails for the Nintendo video and I edited it around a little bit. But it stopped the abuse and misuse of patent law by video game developers. And right now, the goals of this petition are to get lawmakers to enact change in patent law that would allow companies to no longer allow companies to patent game mechanics that are simple ideas. If they want to patent a game mechanic, it has to be a specific implementation of that idea, a specific way to make that idea happen, the code, the actual code and the engine that makes it happen, and to punish companies that would abuse the patent system, ones that are doing things like it appears like, and maybe I'm wrong, again, I'm not a lawyer, but it appears that Nintendo might be doing patenting things that they never created and using that to try to target indie developers and target other people because that's not even their idea. They don't even if patent law said you can patent a game mechanic, which apparently it does, it's not theirs. It's not something that they created. It's something someone else did, and they're trying to patent it. They're trying to steal it. It's theft is what it appears to be. It to me, it reads as theft. I'm not a lawyer, but still. And right here, I say I recognize that I'm not a lawyer or a game developer. I don't know the exact right words, but if you can sign the petition, if it can get some backing behind it, some a good amount of weight behind it, and then hopefully get some of these big names in the indie developer space and maybe a lawyer, a patent lawyer or two, to help with it, and we can get some specific verbiage worked out that would hopefully enact change. I mean, maybe it'll never happen. I'm not so naive to think that this is what's going to cause the change, but at least it might start the ball rolling. and it's better than doing nothing because I mean I can complain about it all day. If I'm not doing anything about it, then I'm a part of the problem. So it's going to be in the description. Sign it, please, and just share this video with people if you think it'll help give some of the ideas, or at the very least share the petition with people to try to get this going in a bigger way. And who knows, maybe in some amount of time we'll see actual change to patent law, and we'll see consequences to the studios that are abusing patent law to punish creators and to hurt the game industry. Okay, bye.